I know you mentioned that, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But just to ask you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women on our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable. But yeah, I mean, this league is a league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of. Like, some of the women in this league were my biggest idols and role models growing up and helped me want to achieve this moment right here that I get to play in every single night. So just treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think is just a basic human thing that everybody should do. Like, just be a kind person and treat them, how you would want to be treated. And I think it's, very simple.
Okay, that was Caitlin Clark a little earlier in the week. And, tonight's topic on the underrated is, if Caitlin Clark doesn't have your opinion, she loses. That is the stage that Caitlin Clark actually finds herself in as a rookie in the WNBA at this point. Now, I've waited a couple days to actually do a story about this particular story, simply because I wanted to see how everything else played out. I mean, we saw Stephen A. Smith jump on ESPN and have his opinion. We saw Serena Williams' opinion a little earlier in the day. It's because they can't do what you do, was the moral of Serena Williams' opinion. One thing is certain about Caitlin Clark at this point, and that is she has absolutely climbed all the way up to the top of Mount Polarization. Caitlin Clark is absolutely a polarizing athlete, whether or not she wants to be one. Once again, if Caitlin Clark doesn't have your opinion, she loses. Isn't that the fact? Isn't that the point of where Caitlin Clark actually finds herself at this point? I mean, if we talk about the basketball, yes, she's averaging just under 16 points a game. And yes, we thought maybe she would do a little bit better than she's been doing. Now, we could get into the X's and O's, and I could point a lot of fingers at the head coach of that particular team and say, one of the reasons Caitlin Clark isn't scoring more has to do with the type of offense that the Indiana Fever are actually running. An offense that isn't in any way looking to create production for Caitlin Clark the way the Iowa Hawkeyes did during her last couple seasons. That's fact. Now, in terms of the other polarization pieces that have occurred over the past couple weeks, of course, we've got the absolutely stupid, idiotic move by USA Basketball, which thought it was a good idea for some strange, bizarre reason to keep the most popular women's athlete in the world at this point off of the U.S. Olympic basketball team, simply because, and I quote, some of the players said, well, we didn't want a bunch of fans to tune in and essentially, and I'm paraphrasing now, we didn't want a bunch of fans to tune in and be disappointed that she didn't get a lot of playing time. Look, the WNBA hasn't expanded for a very long period of time for a wide variety of reasons. One of those reasons has been the fact that over the years, the WNBA has actually been mismanaged. And I'm going to get into all of the details on that specifically at this point, other than to say they are absolutely blowing it at the USA basketball team as well as the WNBA in looking this gift horse in the face. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever had the toughest schedule of any team in the WNBA. They also played the most amount of games out of the gate. I understand that the WNBA certainly wanted to get Caitlin Clark out in front of as many people as possible, and we all saw all of the numbers that came out over the past week showing the tremendous amount of growth that has actually happened in the WNBA since this season started. Now, whether or not you believe what Angel Reese was trying to get at, which was basically trying to say there's a bunch of other people that are helping generate those huge, enormous numbers that the WNBA is getting. And to those people, I simply say, if Caitlin Clark had decided to not play in the WNBA this season, do you think the WNBA would be anywhere near the actual numbers that they're actually putting up from both an attendance and a television viewership perspective? Of course, the answer is absolutely not. Look, if Caitlin Clark doesn't have your opinion, she loses. And the reason for that, at this point, at this stage of the game, and I don't even want to get into the specifics of what was said and not said, what was indicated and not indicated, is simply to say, if Caitlin Clark doesn't have your opinion, she loses. And that's the bottom line in terms of being an athlete, a rookie nonetheless, in a league that, quite frankly, was barely on the map before she joined it, and is now sitting atop of Mount Polarization. All right, North America, I want to know what you have to think or say. Please go ahead and drop in your comments. Hey, do check out our Big Sports website at underrated.media. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. We do cover the WNBA 5 days a week as part of our daily newsletter. For the Underrated, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the drum beats we go.